Part 2. Real. Quote, the other key reason for dispute about the origins of Rus people is the likelihood that they had a role in 9th to 10th century state formation in Eastern Europe, making them relevant to what are seen today as the national histories of Russia, Ukraine, Sweden, Poland, Belarus, Finland, and Baltic states. Listen up. This has encouraged fierce debate as different political interest groups compete over who the Rus originally were, in the belief that the politics of the ancient past legitimate policies in the present. Stop. Bingo. They know they are brand spanking new and fighting to link themselves to anything of antiquity, even if their antiquity is only 1,000 years old. But before we go any further, please allow me to repeat. The Varangians and the elements of the Rus we're hunting are within all three armadas that make up the different nations they just mentioned. Meaning, and you will soon see later, there were Rus Varangians, Swede Varangians, Finnic Varangians, etc. All of them assimilated with their protection population, just like we are now discovering there are elements within the Rus people that did the same. Saying that, let's continue for more clues, shall we? Now, they're about to prove our Armada theory, and our theory that everyone in Eastern Europe didn't know their left hand from their right. Under Slavic sources, I'm going to cut to the chase. Quote, the Chronicle, it's their history book, presents the following origin myth for the arrival of Rus in the region of Novgorod. Listen closely. Quote, the Rus were a group of Varangians who imposed tribute upon the Chuds, the Slavs, the Morens, the Vis, and the Krichevins, a variety of Slavic and Finnic peoples. The tributaries of the Varangians drove them back beyond the sea and, refusing them further tribute, set out to govern themselves. Listen up, listen up. There was no law among them, but tribe rose against tribe. Discord thus ensued among them, and they began to war one against the other. They said to themselves, this is what they said, personal quote, let us seek a prince who may rule over us and judge us according to the law, unquote. They accordingly went overseas to the Varangian Ruses. These particular Varangians were known as Ruses, just as some are called Swedes and others Normans, English, and Gotlanders, for they were thus named. I told you. The Chuds, the Slavs, and Krivichans, and the Vis then said to the people of Rus, this is what they said, personal quote, our land is great and rich, but there is no order in it. Come to rule and reign over us. Listen closely, listen closely. Thus they, the Varangians, selected 3 brothers with their kinfolk, who took with them all the Ruses and migrated. The eldest, Rurik, located himself in Novgorod. The second, Sinis, at below 0. And third, Truvor, at I. On account of these Varangians, what? On account of these Varangians, these 3, not the ones that are still at the crib. On account of these Varangians, the district of Novgorod became known as the land of Rus. Stop. Bingo. So as you can plainly hear, the Rus people are within the Varangia Armada and not the Varangians themselves. And we know this is true because it plainly tells us the clones, the Slavs who didn't know how to govern themselves, asked for help from the Varangians of the Rus order. In turn, the Varangians picked 3 brothers from their order who picked their immediate Varangian kinsmen. Why? To help deliver new and fresh Rus people, all of them, to repopulate Eastern Europe. But wait! Is Little Miss Ivy the only person to perceive this is also a backdoor proof that there is no way in Valhalla all the Germans, Scandies, Turks, Slavs, Finns, and now Rus people, and Kievan Rus, etc., naturally live together in harmony in the exact same area around the Baltic Sea for any period of time, other than to learn how to be a human and wait on someone to come pick them up? Come on, man. Mind you now, they have been at each other's throats ever since they got to Europe. But let's continue for more clues, shall we? Under Arabic sources, listen closely. Quote, it can be difficult to be sure that when Arabic sources talk about Rus, they mean the same thing as modern scholars. I believe it wholeheartedly, and I'll tell you later. Sometimes it seems to be a general term for Scandinavians. When A.Y. recorded Rus attacking Seville in 844, he was almost certainly talking about Vikings based in Franca. Listen up, listen up. At other times, it might denote people other than or alongside Scandinavians. Thus, MT calls Khazars and Rus, personal quote, brothers. Later, Muhammad I, AQ, and IK all identify the Rus as a subgroup of the Turks. These uncertainties have fed into debates about the origins of the Rus. Arabic sources from the Rus have been collected, edited, and translated for Western scholars by the mid-20th century. Listen up, listen up, listen up. However, relatively little use was made of the Arabic sources in studies of the Rus before the 21st century. This is partly because they mostly concern the regions between the Black and the Caspian Seas, and from there, north along the lower Volga and the Don. Stop. Bingo! As you can see, those we are hunting brushed aside eyewitness accounts and didn't want the Arabic information of their history to become prominent. Why, you ponder? Because just like we discovered in our African Area 51 and our barbaric pirate Area 51 understanding, the Black and Caspian Sea coast and islands were also the acclimation zones for everyone new and fresh from the Anatolia all the way to southern Mesopotamia. Y'all remember, we went over that in our history understanding. Everybody was coming from that Black Sea area like, my God, what in the world's going on? Big bingo. And the reason these cats did not use the Arabic eyewitness accounts is because it told about Area 51. Notice, they have changed the meanings of words yet again to protect the guilty. Case in point. Question. When you heard me read, modern scholars are acting like they don't know what the Arab was truly saying less than 1,000 years ago. You know, when it said, quote, at other times, it might denote people other than or alongside Scandinavians. Well, what do you perceive? Who, me? I perceive it has more than one meaning, but in dual fashion. Let me explain. See, when the Arab said it meant alongside Scandinavians, he was simply talking about our Armada theory. But notice he also said it, quote, denotes people other than the Rus people as well. To be blunt, I believe the Arabs used the word to describe Varangian Shasu giants as well. Yes, giants! Let's continue so I can show you why I believe the white man has discontinued Let's continue so I can show you why I believe the white man has discontinued and discounted official eyewitness accounts for his fantasy. That's what I want to say. Listen closely. I'm about to show you why I believe there was giants